Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Fresh from Solo Leveling Season 2 Episode 1, Breaking the Internet, and an amazing Godzilla run from Jonathan yesterday in the Webcam Warriors hosted by Sam Tate. We are joined by, of course, Richard, and then some of the top point earners on the EU ladder. Everyone here is in the top 5, apart from myself, Richard, and Connor. But Connor is the highest point earner from Scotland, so it would be a shame not to get their point of view. And we're going to just talk about Nats, what we expect, what we think needs changing, if anything, and how we think it's all going to go down. So, starting off, of course, with the prettiest face in the room. Greg, how are you?
Not too bad. Hope everyone's all right.
And then we'll move over to Richard. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all good. I've actually booked my Airbnb this time, so for once, I'm actually going to shop for an event. I just need to actually choose what I'm playing. So waffling between two options at the moment, but I'm actually going to turn up.
Likely your only event of the year.
Yeah, probably.
Then of course, we're joined by perpetual number 2 of every event that's happened so far. Jonathan, how are you doing? Then we have Big Cat Enthusiast and Best Big Cat in the EU Come At Me Scott. Rocco?
Yeah, hi. Cat, it's a good character.
Then we have one of the architects and publicizers of Godzilla that basically was on the hype train before anybody else really caught on, with Connor.
Hello.
And of course, saving the best till last, we have the current EU reigning champion and did amazingly well at Worlds last year and is pretty much guaranteed to be at Worlds this year, Liam. So, let's go straight into that and go, what do we expect to turn up at Nats? What's going to be the big bad to watch out for?
I mean, it's just Godzilla, right? Lee in chat is saying Liam has no audio, always really quiet. But, I mean, I fully expect Godzilla to be the most registered deck. Whether it ends up being the most successful, I don't know. But I think just that chaos good stuff package, that's how I fully expect it to be the most registered deck. It was the recent tournament over the weekend until Recovery Girl drained all the life from Jonathan. That was quite upsetting to watch on stream. You could even see from the sort of expressions on his arms, just had completely lost the will to live. Put up the best fight he could to try and get there, but yeah. But yeah, I fully expect there to be a bajillion and one Godzilla decks and other decks effectively playing the same sort of walk the dog package. Lenoco in chat saying...
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, like I say, I expect the chaos, momentum, good stuff to be the highest represented stuff there. Again, whether it ends up top cut or not, I don't know, but that would be my expectation.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, not to say we were ahead of the curve, but we were playing Godzilla long before the NA players jumped on board. And now with things like the Tournament Advance, as you said, it's kind of really blown up. But Godzilla isn't really winning the events that we're seeing happening, like the webcam circuits and the Winter Warriors. So is it going to be as big of a threat, or are we going to see a lot more things like Recovery Girl and Jameer, which Jonathan did tie with in Swiss?
I think Godzilla's always one of those where... Oh, go ahead.
No, you crack on, buddy.
I was going to say it's one of those with Godzilla. It's always going to be one of those where I think it's going to be a barrier in the sense of, like, if your deck can't beat Godzilla, you need to play something else, whether it's a case of it's going to win or not. And I do feel like people are starting to cotton on the Godzilla's kind of strategy in the sense of, like, you can have more of a game with it, but at the same time, it can just turn 2 from nowhere, and you don't have a game. So it just depends on the player and the rules, really. Like when I played Godzilla before, he had all these new toys. He was a case half the time just turn 2 on people, like it was nobody's business. And now he's even got more things, so he's definitely going to be most represented, and I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he won it.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, like, although maybe he hasn't won, he has still represented in top cuts, right? There were 1 or 2 in the webcam one recently. Obviously, Jonathan got to top 4, and although yes, he had the life drained from him by Recovery Girl, it's not like he was completely out of those games. So I don't think it's like, oh yeah, Godzilla's just not getting there. Like when you get to top cuts, it's a bit of a lottery to an extent, anyway. And I think Godzilla is making the top cuts. Like, you know, obviously Jonathan came second in the last regionals with Godzilla. So I think it is having finishes. It's just not getting that first place finish. But I'm not sure that matters so much as being represented in top cuts. Like, I think that's the true sort of measurement of a strength of a deck, is when it's converting into top cuts. And then top cuts how often can be a bit of a crapshoot, right? Like, you know, you may get paired badly into, you know, your bad matchup, or you just, you know, you run bad, or your opponent runs hot in your knockout round. So I think it's more representative to look at sort of top cuts. I think Godzilla is making those top cuts, just maybe isn't converting to a win sometimes.
Yeah, I think that Godzilla not getting first in major events is mainly a skill issue on my part. But yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So, turning to Jonathan, who, apart from Greg, has had the best outcomes with Godzilla over the year, and that's because Greg beat Jonathan to get the best outcome of the year. You've been playing it kind of religiously, apart from a brief stint of playing Mimic in casual webcam events. How are you feeling about Godzilla at the moment, and is there anything particularly you're worried about going up against as Zilla?
Yeah, I'm enjoying Zilla at the minute. I think it's still a really good deck. I think it's going to be on a lot of people's minds to take to nationals. The one of the matchups that I'm like more worried about would be like a really defensive Rodan, because Rodan can just come out of the woods and then just string 3 or 4 attacks and kill Zilla if they're not prepared. Other than that, I had a little trouble in Swiss with Yumiya. But it all depends on how Yumiya builds and what she actually builds, because I know she can build around not getting board wiped. She can build to maybe like 5 or 6 foundations, which puts you at 9 foundations in total, and then build off the blocks. So that can get around Zilla as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like Zilla being as popular as it is one of those. Like Emir was one of the contenders for me for what I want to play, and I think Godzilla just generally being probably one of its worst matchups as Emir is one of the things that really puts me off. Right?
Yeah.
You really struggle to kill people unless you can flip, and flipping against Godzilla is nigh on impossible sometimes. Sure, you might have those hands where you can, you know, have like 2 desperate pleas and a replicate enthusiast, and therefore, you know, go from that 5 or 6 to 8 or 9, and therefore be able to flip on your turn. But that's I think an outlier compared to sort of experiences I've had testing against it, where all of Godzilla's attacks are for half your life total. You need to block everything. And sometimes you can't, because life's defense sometimes get a bit shaky, depending on how you build it. And I think flipping is really hard against Godzilla. So it's just, I think that's always going to be a struggle. And that's one of the reasons why I'm just kind of off Emir a bit. Like, I still think it's a really strong, and you might just dodge Godzilla all day. But I think that being a bad matchup is a certainly going into the EU nationals meta, where I'd expect even a greater sort of amount of Godzilla than maybe like an international one, it sort of puts me off that from my perspective.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Rocco, the big cat enthusiast. How do you feel about going up against Godzilla as Big Cat? And there has been some people talking in Discord recently saying that as annoying as Recovery Girl is, Big Cat is still much harder to deal with because he just takes away your defensive options.
So, in terms of Into Godzilla, it's pretty much who can hit harder first. But then obviously Godzilla has the defensive aspect of, oh, you're prepped to kill me next turn and I'm not. I'll just blow up the board. You know,
Yeah.
It's just difficult to get around Godzilla a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So do you have any anti-Godzilla tech that you're going to be bringing to Nats? Is there any, as a person who is most likely not going to be playing Godzilla and will be playing Big Cat again, are you just going to be going, I'll roll the dice, or have you actually got some tech up your sleeve?
There's nothing that I've particularly got prepared for it. As I say, it is literally just who can roll higher.
Makes a lot of sense. And moving over to current EU champion, going back to defend his title. How are you feeling about Nats, Liam? And is the casino deck dead now that Risky Cow is gone?
Yeah, there's as far as like Bakugo Casino goes, there's just not enough. Like in the last two sets, he's not had any Furies to let him proc his +2 damage or enough -1 damage negation to keep going. As far as like playing Interzilla right now, I mean, it's basically a weighted coin toss, isn't it? Like you have the aggro of just I'm going to kill you, and then City Rampage is the weight to that coin toss.
Makes sense. So that leads on to another topic then. How healthy do we feel the meta is at the minute? I mean, you guys have been playing up and down the country for the majority of the year. This is what has allowed you to get your points. You've grinded, you've seen the meta change throughout the course of the year. How healthy do you think the game is at the minute?
I think the meta at the minute is more diverse than people realise. I think there is more answers to Zilla. If you dig deeper and have a look into it, like you've got in water, you've got Eyes of the Tiger to stop Zilla, you've got things like Vast Strength on Earth and all to basically blank determined advance or Krakens. But in terms of like the actual meta that it is now, I do think the City Rampage meta is one of the worst metas we've had in a long time.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
It's one of those with the City Rampage stuff where it's like you have the answers for it, but you don't have the characters to back that up, is the thing. Like, even without City Rampage, Godzilla is just cracked on face. Higher health total, static to give 3 damage, so even if he's committed, you're still getting the buff, and you get plus to your checks and the board reset if you're worried. Not a lot of characters are competing with that on face, with or without City Rampage. Yes, you can have answers in your deck to deal with things, but on face, the character's just cracked.
Yeah, a lot of the power I think is just baked into the character. Like you can't wall because Godzilla blows it up. You can't really DR because he's just putting so much damage on his on his attacks to begin with. And blocking can be tricky when he's throwing 3 or 4 or 5 and they're all for potato. But I still think City Rampage to me is overrated and completely unnecessary for Godzilla. I think it leads to the high roll side of it, but I'm not convinced. But that's just me. I'm not a minority.
I will say that Godzilla can be DR'd after last night.
I guess Recovery Girl is a different monster, right? You're sort of your average deck, right? I can Recovery Girl being a little.
Yeah.
But in terms of the meta, I think the chaos good stuff and just stuff in general. Like there's a lot of decks and options, but it feels like there's a lot of people just trying to solitaire each other. That's sort of, I guess, my beef with things to an extent. It's just I'm trying to do my thing harder at you than you're doing your thing harder at me. We're basically everyone's just trying to Tokyo Army each other rather than actual back and forth. Like obviously some games have that, like in terms of you'll have those games, but I think it just feels a lot of the time it is just people just chucking shit at each other. And I think that's where a lot of the beef sometimes comes with the meta. It just feels a bit like that of we're just flinging shit at each other and hoping one of them sticks.
That's right. I mean, we got Mike in chat saying that, as you guys have been saying, the meta is a lot more wide open. A lot of people are focusing on Zilla, but there are other characters out there. I know Mimic's been seeing some play. There's a few people that are still going on about Dark Deku being one of the best characters. Richard yesterday was talking about Big Bert. Is there, if you weren't going to be playing Zilla at Nats, or if you're not playing Zilla at Nats, what would be your consideration, knowing what people are most likely going to be bringing?
I'd be playing Bert too, 10%, 100%. Yeah, he's like the next combined firepower deck. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of that whole package. As much as it lost a couple of cards like the Risky Encounter and stuff like that, the grand scheme of things is a lot of these decks on the symbols like Chaos and Death, they didn't really change that much in the grand scheme of things. They're the same deck. They've lost one or two pieces, or they've gained one or two, and most of them feel very much the same. Like you're running the same formula with a different character.
Yeah, I think Big Bird is even better with some of the things he has access to, especially having fire as a secondary symbol. It's just a case of, I'm going to accidentally draw 2, discard 2, or your attack suddenly got -6 damage, or I'm drawing 3 cards instead of 2, and just getting that advantage that way. Then also things like Reiner. I think both Reiners strong, specifically the first one. Being able to have that DR and potentially that board management, if he can flip, it's just getting that. And things like Pony as well, just being able to turn to anybody, I think, in the game if she gets the right build. So there are different. It is very diverse. There's a lot of things out there. So
yeah, I think a few of the other choices that I was like considering if I didn't go for Godzilla would be things like Mimic, because he can survive if Godzilla doesn't slaughter in turn 2. Things like Rodan, because Rodan's got quite an aggressive package despite being defensive as well. And maybe like the likes of Ymir and Reiner 1, like Greg was saying.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely have to be looking at Rodan. Like, you still get to play combined fire nonsense. You get access to every cancel and get that off the board in the game. Like, it's the best into stuff like Determine Advance, Zilla. Just being able to out-control him and outpace him while not necessarily needing to rely on the foundations he has built. Because
I guess for that's like on Void, right? Because that's the only one you get to play combined under. So how
it is, but his other 2 symbols are still pretty good.
I mean, all just to get a bit of a power boost with the Sun Jin Woo cards.
Yeah, like I think I like all when it comes to Rodan, just because you get vast strength as an answer to determine.
Yeah. So one
just to have air with him, especially with the. Okay.
Yeah, so an answer on all the
people because I'm like.
Sorry. An answer on all the Rodan gets as well is Eyes of the Tiger for the Godzilla matchup as well.
That's fair.
So I guess that is sort of a reasonable segue into the question I posed in the chat earlier that I think is worth talking about is like, a bunch of people have done like tier lists, right, of top characters, whether that's like David Toombs or Tam, or I think Smith did one. And I think across the board, Rodan and Bert 2 were the top 2. And they've done nothing for months, right, in terms of like top cuts, representation, winning and stuff. And yet I still think people, even now, would say they're the top 2 characters. So I guess my question would be to everyone, why aren't they winning and why aren't they doing well?
I'll jump in quickly before anyone else jumps in there. I've always thought control decks do a lot worse in webcam events because you constantly have to keep asking your opponent which the cards do if they've not got a clear setup. And you need to have a lot of the information and you're essentially telling your opponent what you're looking at and what you're planning. And a good opponent will be able to go, okay, this is what they're playing. I can play around it. I can know what they're doing. But if you sat across from someone, you can see what their cards are. You can pick up all their foundations. You can go through, and you can literally just go, you have no idea what I'm thinking, and I don't have to give anything away. Whereas the aggro decks just get to punch you in the face and go, yeah, I don't care what you have because you're going to die.
I think it goes a bit deeper than that rather than just webcam, because I think even in person, it's a case of even like a lot of the time people aren't going to play those decks. I think it's a similar mindset as a race ahead and used to be in recovery girlies now. A lot of people just find them boring. And for events that don't necessarily matter as much, you're not going to play them often because you just want to play couple aggro, you kill me turn 2 or I kill you turn 2, have a quick game. Whereas things like nationals and worlds be like, I'll knuckle down because I want these points, I want to win, I'll play the big guns kind of thing. And obviously you're going to practice it, but a lot of people just kind of, because of the state of the game, like Richard said earlier, with like the very solitaire aspect of the game, and I feel like people's mentalities are kind of adapted to that, so they're just playing aggro, quickfire decks in a lot of the events to then save these decks for later in the year that they find less boring and less draining.
We got Mike in chat saying it's a mental fatigue thing as well. These are the sort of decks that you need to have a lot of focus and attention on to all the way through an event, and you might not always have that when you don't really want to be doing that at events, like you said, that don't really matter.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it was just a question, right? It's just like, I think everyone had Rodan 1, and most people, if not all of them, had Bert 2, and like Bert 2 is the monster everyone was just screaming for, erratas and stuff, and just sort of hasn't really done anything. Obviously, it had I think put 1 or 2 in a couple of the webcam David Toombs things, but like, yeah, with the Rodan, I can certainly see it being like the Eraserhead effect, right? Of just A, being mentally draining, and B, it's that one mistake and you're dead type of deck. But I think with Bert, it's not quite like that. Because I think he just kills people.
With Bert, it's a bit more mindless in the sense of like, I've got we're testing a local to help with it for nationals, and it's a case of he gets bored playing the deck quickly because it's a very strong deck with the casino package and the fire discards and things like that. But on every attack, drawing 2, discarding 2, going through those motions, almost that cadence that you used to get in things like other card games where you'd have those little automated motions, and it just kind of gets very monotonous and boring on both sides. So again, I think it's just people not wanting to go through that unless it matters.
I disagree. I've had a lot of fun playing with Bert. My opponents haven't. My opponents get bored of shit when I'm doing all my buttons, but I love it. Like I think Bert 2, I think has been for me a lot of fun actually playing. I'm not convinced combined firepower is okay to run in a 5-hander, but I might be wrong on that. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing Bert. But again, it's like, yeah, exactly. If you don't know drawing guide, you get to loot 2 every attack. What's not to love about that? And get value from it.
So we did it for Zilla. What would be the group's counter picks? How would you play against Bert 2? If you saw your opponent was against Bert 2, what have you teched in? How do you adapt your play style to Bert 2?
I mean, the 2 good answers I would say are probably Showdown and Runaway. Like, he plays lots of highs, like especially if he's playing Desperate Slash, because it's just a 3-speed. He doesn't really do speed, and plays a lot of highs like Battle Aura, stuff like that. So I think Showdown is going to be a good answer to him. Like, Runaway is a good defensive answer. Like, he puts damage on, it's okay, I'll take Printed, because the printed of these things generally aren't very high and stuff. So yeah, I think those are probably the 2 top answers. I think to a Bert, to me, is if you have access to them. But there's other ones, right? Of just whether that's just turning in stop via like a Keiko's Aid or like a Mikasa's Knee Strike, kind of breaker to them. It's sort of just running them out of resources or just turning stop attacking and just them on the crackback.
I mean, one good answer that you have to Bertolt is Heroes Upbringing. They literally just do the same effect twice and then they can't do it anymore, and that's them done. But obviously you have to play it on the specific symbol.
I I had a discussion this week. I can't remember if it was with someone in here or if it was someone else. He was saying they found the best way to counter Bert 2 is just to build to 8. If they want to transform, you make them do it in their own turn and blow up their own foundations.
Yeah, I think that person doesn't understand how Bert works. Like, basically, if Bert flips, you're dead. And quite often, if Bert doesn't flip, you still die anyway. And, because Bert doesn't need to flip. I think if you're playing as Bert 2 and you're all about just trying to flip, you're probably doing it wrong because you're underestimating how good loot 2 +2 -2 damage on every attack is. Just as a face, it's just so good, and especially with those extra bonus things you get from that mini casino package, it's just steal your best thing out of nowhere, or actually this is -4 or +4 damage, or +6, or actually I'm going up by 2 or 3 cards so I can actually block multiple times.
The other flip side to all that is the fact that with a lot of Bert's interactability when he draws and discards, a lot of his things remove. So it's a case of if you can run his resources out. But again, it's just one of those if you've got the game plan and the ability to do that. Yeah. Also, resource denial I find is quite good against Bert, especially having the 5-hander problems and having issues with building sometimes. Things like disrupting his stage, disrupting his hand can be strong. Because obviously, at the end of the day, he might be drawing a lot of cards because of his interactions. He might be looting a lot, but he is still a 5-hander at base, so he's always going to start with 5 cards. So I think that resource denial in either way, and then that fatigue and that attrition definitely does help.
What you're saying, Greg, is Midnight 2 is viable.
I mean, I'm not going on camera and saying that. If that's what you want to do, mate, you go right ahead. She's got chaos, that's all I'm saying.
I fully agree, and I think maybe that's part of where Bert 2, everyone thinks is a monster and sometimes doesn't have the results, is that, sometimes you have the 5-hander problems, right? I was playing a game where I flipped, and I'm ready to go, and I drew 5 foundations. I'm well, shit, I put just die on the crap back then. And that sometimes happens. And again, I was playing against Harry's Hanji, and just got by the stupid 4-diff replicas from the hand Mothra thing, whose name escapes me.
Tri-Gravity Beam.
That's the Badger. Yeah.
Ghidorah card.
Ghidorah, that's the one. Yeah, just got ruined by a Tri-Gravity Beam, right? These things happen. So yeah, I think that's part of it, is that sometimes Bert does just 5-hander out in the same way Nomu sometimes used to just 5-hander out, right?
Well, makes sense.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Going on with the theme, what as the players do you feel are the most overrated characters that people seem to be hyped on a minute, and what characters have you noticed have got a lot better with the recent cards, but nobody's talking about?
I think that I'm going to be a hypocrite, but I think that Godzilla's overrated.
You just don't want to play the mirror.
I mean, I'm happy playing the mirror. I've played a lot of Godzilla mirrors. I just think that a lot of people are just...
I can't say any beat me.
I just played a lot of matches with Zilla where I have lost testing to different decks, and I just think there is a lot more answers than people are thinking. I just think because Godzilla's that easy to play, people are just well, I may as well just join them because it's easy to play, right?
Do you think that Zilla can make people kind of play badly in a sense because it's so simple to play? People just kind of shut their brains off and they kind of get trapped in this, I throw cards down kind of thing, and they don't. And then if someone is more prepared for them, or if someone is actively kind of trying to outplay them, they can just get caught not thinking.
Yeah, you can definitely get too greedy with Zilla. You can get to the point where you think you can turn to them, and because you've miscalculated, they just turn to you. And there's also the board wipe can mess you up as well. Like I did it before in one of the regionals where I board wiped too soon and it cost me the match. So there is some skill to it, but overall I do think it is a more simple deck than a lot of the other decks out there at the minute.
Well, we'll go round and just wait for people to answer. So we'll go to Connor now. Any characters? Oh, before that, actually, Jonathan, are there any characters you think people aren't talking about or aren't playing that did get more powerful?
Anya Forger.
I feel like if Mike was playing in Nats, he would 100% just be playing Anya Forger because it doesn't matter. Greg could do that, but I think Greg wants prizes after prize wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're fully underestimating Mike's desire to just win.
Mike says not a chance, down. Connor, most overrated character and most underrated character?
Most overrated, it probably is Godzilla at this point, to be fair. I've managed to get a lot of practice games in, and I've lost a good few as well. I've definitely aggressively turned to a lot of people. But no, he's not. Do you know what it is? It feels as if he gets the same kind of overhype. I'm saying overhype, right? But take the rest of this. Bit like younger Tagoro had, where he's completely unbeatable, and everyone kind of jumps on it. It's such that kind of immediate overhype where it just seems to be constantly floating. Obviously, younger Tagoro was just busted though, as such. But that kind of hype.
Most underrated.
Underrated. Honestly, maybe one of the Rhiners. They get a lot of talk, but you then never really see them. At least from up here, I don't really see them. So
do you think the errata on Rhino 1 kind of scared people off him?
I personally think the errata is scared of a lot of people off any time. Even if the errata makes them better, somehow people get scared off of erratas. People don't like cards that don't have the same text on them, and you can make a mistake in games. It's a subconscious thing that some people don't like. The moment a card text doesn't read the same, and you make that mistake and you get hit with judge damage, that's your day's done.
That's fine. Greg, most overrated and underrated card?
I could agree with everyone and say Zilla, because I do think he's overrated, but at the same time justified. But I'd also say Radan's also up there as well, but for a different reason. I do think both characters are very strong. Same with Bert too. All three of them are very strong, and they are good. But I do think they're classed as big bads without being unbeatable. I think there's tools, and I think there are ways to beat them all. But I do think that it's a case of there's different ways to deal with them, and obviously the game's very rock, paper, scissors. Even looking at those three decks, for example, rock, paper, scissors with those three. Radan can beat Godzilla. Berthold has a good chance against Radan, but Godzilla can turn to Berthold, kind of thing. There's swings and roundabouts with it all. And I think they're all very strong with their kits, but they're not unbeatable. And obviously, they're talked about a lot in communities by content creators, things like Radan, where people don't play it and they class it as this big, bad control deck that everyone can go and beat and everyone can go and win with. But at the same time, it takes a lot of mental fatigue and a lot of precise playing to pilot it very well, same as Eraserhead. So I think it's the right person playing it makes it overrated and justified, but someone else picking it up can make a very big mistake. Same with Godzilla. And again, like Jonathan said, I can get very greedy with it. And Bert, again, same thing, because he's the new hotness and the new character that everyone's talking about. Just very strong, but can be very beatable. So I think all three of those are quite overrated.
That's right. I mean, you make some very good points about Castle there, and we saw with decks like the Erwin Smith one in Broberg's hand was an unbeatable missile, but couldn't replicate the same results within the EU and Oceania, still getting the top cuts but not getting the win.
I mean, that sounds like player skill issue, though.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Rest in peace.
Who loses to Gabby 1 in 2024? And most underrated character, Greg?
She kind of fell off from people talking about her, but I'd say Pony. Like, she's still very strong, and she got a lot of tools, and she's got a lot of toys, and she can turn two with the best of them. She's very fun and very strong. But again, I think it takes a bit of planning, a bit of managing with the horn counters and things like that. And I think she's definitely going to get talked about, and she should be getting played if people aren't going to play her, even just for the fact that she's really fun to play and she's very strong. Like these 30, 35 plus health characters, she can just kill in one turn very, very consistently if she gets the good draws. Same with the Rhinos that were mentioned earlier, especially Rhino 1. I've got a very soft spot for that at the moment. I think it's a very strong deck.
Yeah, Rhino 1 was surprising last regionals and came very close to topping. We got Liam, your most underrated and overrated characters?
In terms of overrated, without being basic and saying Zilla, because it obviously is, probably between Rodan and Dark Deku. But I don't think it's much.
Ooh.
I think it comes down to, again, like a skill issue more than them being overrated. Especially in Dark Deku's case, where like, everyone wants to play him because it's Dark Deku, but they don't know how to play the deck. They're playing it because big number get bigger. For Rodan, I think it's just he's overshadowed by Zilla, and now that he's got all these new cool stuff like teleportation stone, getting to like cape all your attacks, Genkai's your attacks, and then say you still can't hit me with stuff like that, or draw 3 off World's Weakest Hunter. It just comes down to like, will these top 3 overrated decks sort of be like a triangle of this knocks this one out, this knocks this one out, and this one knocks this one out, and so on. And that's why they're all there. But somewhere like in the middle, but if that makes sense.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, it's a rock, paper, scissors thing, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of underrated, I'm going to be biased and say Krista. I think... one. Historia 2... Oh, yeah, Krista 2 is still good. Historia is still good, but I don't think... I think she's too slow for the current format. With everything being too fast and she needs time to build up her own system and her own game plan, you might as well just be playing a control deck. Krista 1 does it twice as fast and has what I think being one of the strongest abilities in the game to just go, cool, I'll stack your deck with this 3, I'll stack my deck with a 6.
And then Big Bert 2 last going, thanks for the 3.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bit of a catch-22, but if he flips and he loses all his defense, you're playing Chaos, you've got City Rampage, you can play on 3 foundations.
You've done some serious bad things in the Patriot webcams with Krista in the past. God knows how much deeper that well has gone.
I don't know what you mean.
Rocco, your most under and overrated characters, please.
So, I mean, in terms of overrated, I'm gonna have to agree with everyone else. Yeah, it's got to be like Godzilla, because yes, he is good, but you can just mess up with him to a point where you can just swing back over his health and just obliterate him. I think Bert as well. Yeah, I think so. Bert can obviously kill on first side because he gets the draw 2 ditch 2. But if he's going for kill that turn and he just decides, I'm going to hold this hand of attacks, and you Ares Smiles or something, he can't play a foundation if he's holding all attacks, sort of thing.
Yeah. Has a 500 issue.
Exactly, yeah. Rodan, I've not really played against him much. I played against one game against Jonathan, and I lost. So, I don't have much to say on Rodan.
That's fair.
I was going to say, in terms of underrated, I might say Byakuya. Just simply because he says on face, pretty much, I'm going to flip your board, you now have no resources, unless your character says otherwise. Like, there's a lot of characters, and Rodan is one of them, where he relies on some of his foundations. So, if they're gone, some characters will just fall apart.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Richard, do you want to chime in with your most over and underrated characters?
Yeah, so I'm going to say, in terms of overrated, the overrating isn't Godzilla, it's City Rampage. Just need to get it out there. But I'd probably go with Deku, like the Dota Deku. I still don't think it's very good. I think it's fine, but I'm not sold. And then underrated, Greg stole my answer off Pony. So I'm going to go with something different. So I'll go with Hanji. Like, I think she's really good. But again, her friend's been playing her with like the combined firepower casino package, and
I thought you didn't like backups.
What?
Hanji 1 with the backups that commit like mimic.
No, the good one.
You didn't specify. That's on you.
Yeah, Hanji 1, the good one.
Hanji 1. Don't know when that's.
Like +3, -3 on everything is really strong. Just being able to turbo build when you need to. Again,
But Beast Titan Rock Barrage. Beast Titan Rock Barrage makes Hanji 1 playable.
You've sent Greg down his own winding path of destruction.
But yeah, I think Hanji 1's really strong.
Yeah, Hanji 1's very strong.
Hanji 1, you've bloody.
I agree with you now.
Yeah, I think Hanji 2 is really strong. And again, wouldn't be surprised if there's a reasonable representation of her at the various nationals. Again, she just gets to do a lot of dirty things and can just absolutely wallop you on two. Even if you can block once or twice, it's just like, oh, cool. My third attack is a tri-gravity beam that rips your last block out of your hand, and then I'm going to stack 7 million damage on it from combined powers, and you're dead.
Cool. So we've got a question from Rebby in the comments, and it's basically asking us all, if you could choose whatever card you like to own, past or present, playable or not, what would we all like to choose? This is going to be a very different question for people like Connor and the retro heads than the people that have been playing only since MHA. So, speaking, we'll start with Connor. Going, is there any card that you don't own that you would like to own?
Yeah, I want the Godzilla World Champ card. Thank you very much.
Well, that was the most obvious answer.
Yeah. Otherwise, like a gold-plated Goro. I don't know if it exists, but if we could make that happen.
Not like a double-sided Goro? Double size?
Oh, that could be good.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, I feel as if I've got the cheat answer there because there's a Godzilla card that I want.
Have you seen those people that get multiple copies of cards and cut out with a scalpel?
Oh yeah, no, scale them up.
3D
Yeah,
Goro going.
why have I not done that? Oh, yeah. Might have to do that.
Keep an eye on the It's Sea Dog on Twitch where he's going to be doing a stream of him cutting up Goro cards.
Might have to do that.
Greg, are there any cards that you would love to own, past, present?
Probably say my Cardamom 1 and 2, to be honest.
I've got a Cardamom 1. I don't know if I've got multiple. I've got a Grand Padley as well.
No, I think it would be, again, similar to Connor, just the Champ Godzilla, to be honest, just for sentimental. And then also a Chrome Momo for sentimental reasons as well.
That's right. Liam, any cards that you don't own that you'd like to?
From the little of retro that I've played, or I haven't seen, probably Bang. I think the card's just funny. Yeah.
Greg, I think
here's
Greg
better
missed that
Winter
Connor.
stuff.
Oh, did it? Sorry. Just let that focus. Just.
I saw it. Don't worry. I saw it.
Bank's a decent one. I would have probably said the to-go brothers. Like, if you'd asked me this last year, but I now have more than I can physically do anything with. I'd have to probably just go with the Dabby 2 champion card because I own a top 16 Dabby, I own a Chrome Dabby, I own the champion Dabby from season 2. I own all the alt-arts. Yeah. I have a problem. Other than that, probably a foiled Vega, because Vega was my first retro character, made me love retro, and I just don't own a foiled Vega. And now Connor's frantically looking on TV as well.
I was looking at the box. No, I mean,
Rocco, how about yourself?
Okay. Armin.
I mean, cards present, I guess. I just don't own a playset of Walk the Dog, which I'd like to own. And I got rid of mine when it was worth about like £6 or something. Or one of mine anyway. Yeah.
Brother.
You need to speak to Richard's local store owner. I believe he has like multiple playsets.
They're just expensive is the problem.
That's fine.
Richard, how about yourself?
I feel like you've all got this game wrong. The obvious answer is just an Alpha Black Lotus. I'll take the 40 grand or whatever the thing.
Yeah, Rebby did not specify what game. This is true.
Oh, no, fair.
Oh, I mean, if we're going
I do also need to add a caveat to my
I would probably say like a shadowless Charizard that's miscut.
Well, I'll take the One Ring, the one copy one that goes for $1 million. Thank you very much. Aye, but I'll have it and then we can buy it back.
So I think we now need to do like a video series of what's the rarest and most expensive card in any card game.
I mean, it's just the One Ring. Like that's the most rare.
No, there's got to be a rare one.
That'll be.
No, I think that generally like broke the market on like a singular card sale.
Yeah, it went for like what 2-3 milli to post.
Yeah.
The other one is Is it the 1994 World Champ card for Magic? That's a one.
I think so. Yeah.
There's a couple.
That's a one-off. Yeah.
I know there's a couple of the old Pokemon ones that are right up there for the World Champion stuff.
It's not a card, but it's a cartridge, an Atari ET.
Okay. That's fair.
Showing up on game knowledge here. But Jonathan, take us out with your best pick.
Personally, I think I'd just go with Chrome Kraken. I just really like the look of it.
Wasn't this one selling didn't someone sell a Chrome Kraken through Card Goblin at the last regionals?
Yeah, it was Adam, and I tried organising a trade with Card Goblin, but I think Adam just wanted the cash, so...
That's right.
Oh, the story behind that card.
Mike,
there is a story.
Yeah, there is.
We've got Mike in chat saying Tyler, the great commentator from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a one-off as well.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably a lot of one-off cards.
Yeah, so there's a few real rare ones in Magic, like Splendid Genesis and things like that. That's going deep into Magic lore, if you know what that card is.
Yeah.
Well after my time.
I think also adding to my answer, going off of the going away from one-offs, probably coordinated effort. Any coordinated efforts.
Coordinated effort? Yeah. I remember at the second regional where I chucked my box of like set one stuff to you. And you went over and like, yeah, we have a pile of coordinated efforts that Brett gave us. I was like, yeah, just give them to Greg. It was supposed to be his anyway. I think I probably just forgot to give them him.
Yeah. I think last year at Worlds I bought Rochester's stock of them and they looked at me like I had two heads.
He's going to turn up to an event with a coordinated effort coat.
Maybe.
Right. So you see, there's like the majority of people here are locking for Worlds. What's your personal approach to Nats. Are you going for that travel voucher? Are you looking to get a guaranteed kind of seat and not relying on points? But I mean, Jonathan's pretty much set. I don't think anyone can get more points than Jonathan at this point. So it's like, are you guys going in taking it seriously, or are you just like going to be having a lot of fun and kind of happy that you kind of qualified for Worlds already?
So I've not qualified.
Yeah.
I want first place, or else I'll just not be happy. There is no acceptable losses for this one. I need to win this one, mainly because of the last regionals. Like make my call, and it went belly up as such, completely scunnered my scoring. So if I had done well at that one, I probably would have taken this one a little bit easier. Because I'd have probably been sitting about the 60-ish points off of like 3 events. I'd have been fine, but I need to top 8 now.
You also kind of handicapped a little bit by the fact that your local store shut down, so you didn't really have any store championships or anything to grind points. Essentially the same boat as me of, Season 4 points count towards Worlds. There's no events I can get to in Season 4.
Yeah, I just work too many weekends as well, so like I kind of have to like guarantee a lot of my score based on regionals.
Yeah, and you've also got Adam as a playtest partner, so that's a pretty heavy handicap there.
And he's got
Never played him. Never played Adam. I dodged him. I was playing against Kai earlier. Yeah.
To answer Revy's question in chat, currently, if we take out Mike and Greg, then you need just over 70 points to qualify for Worlds at this point, because 7th place is Kevin T with 74 points. So essentially that's the lockout, and then it kind of drops off dramatically after 9th place because we've got Nathan James on 68 points, and then it drops to Nathan Squire on 47, myself on 45, Mateo on 44, Crystal on 35, and then Sea Dog on 34. Tied with Adam actually for 34.
Yeah.
So it's quite a dramatic drop, and in first place we've got Mike on 146, so he was guaranteed Worlds no matter what, but he's kind of winning the regionals has helped the people on the points list because it means there's more invites going down. Which I guess I can bring on to this, but given that we've got some people here with quite a lot of locals and some people here with absolutely no locals and have to travel hours to play, how do we feel about the point system and the fact that next year and even this year, getting to Worlds was kind of reliant on how much locals you could play?
Totally fine. Like, they need to push locals. That's how the game succeeds or dies. So, like, it is what it is. I don't think that you can really argue too much against it. Like, that's just how the game works and how games of this type work. Like, they need to be pushed, like local play being a thing. So that's always going to be the way it works.
I don't know if Greg and Connor felt the same way at the beginning of the year, especially for Greg. After like Regional 2, he was fine. But I felt more pressure playing my limited events because I knew I only had essentially 3 events a season, and I had to maximize my point outtake in order to get to Worlds. And the moment I essentially couldn't get points for an event, I could relax, but it felt kind of disheartening because it was taking me further away from Worlds.
For me, it changed. Well, at least for this year, it changed how I played at locals. So the way I described it this year was I wasn't able to make both events to qualify on just showing up. So I had to do this thing called I'm not allowed to have actual fun. I need to actually win in order to kind of guarantee getting to regionals, which was just a feel bad moment when I'm rocking up with like younger Kadogoro and stuff like that just to qualify. Like, I want to play random jank and have fun and then get to regionals where you can play a bit more seriously. Locals shouldn't have been forced into the aggressive tournament scene, unless you had obviously multiple locals and outreaches and such. Business-wise, get why they did it. I think the base level for that entry wasn't there to really have that been a focus.
I fully agree on regionals, right? Again, there should never have been a. You need to do have it like being a qualification for regionals. They should have always been open, but I think for a world chase, I think that's fine.
Yeah, like to further for like this year going in, I think the point system makes perfect sense. You've got a year to get the points. You know you can work that out within that year, and you know you can save up money knowing you're going to a day one scenario rather than maybe the grind to potentially get the day two. I think that makes more sense because it gives you that genuine year gap, like to work it out. Yeah, rather than every 3 months you're having to like stress. And then you've got people like at Nationals where like Scott stressed out his box to get the qualification for Nationals, and then they did a last chance qualifier and he was like, oh wow, so I've just went so far out my way for no reason. Obviously he's like a kind of like soul case, but I would imagine other people probably were in that situation.
You should just do what Murray did and got a
yeah, just got the million points.
Yeah, I think the thing for me that it boils down to is just the way that the whole situation's managed. Like the way it's just all under wraps, and then all of a sudden, this last chance qualifier is coming up, or this change is happening, and it's just a case of the secrecy and the last minute false hype to generate things because they're being cryptic. It's just like it affects a lot of people. Like obviously people like myself and Connor, where we have locals very barren. Like I have to travel an hour to go to a local store to play for me. Obviously going down to like Sheffield and things like that, up and down the country, and then that kind of thing. And same for the Scots as well. Like sometimes they'll have to travel to my area if my store decides to put a event on once in a blue moon. Otherwise, to play more locally and more consistently, I have to travel and then bully my locals when they want to play fun decks. And it's always a feel bad moment. And it's just, I understand them wanting to push local play, but there needs to be that fact that it's still local play, if that makes sense. Like they should be able to push it without it being cutthroat and competitive, because that's what Nationals, Regionals, Worlds is for. That's not what a local scene should be.
I do like the fact we're getting the scramble locals, which is going to be more new player focused, and it's a push for stores to have that more casual fun play with flat pricing and just being a bit more casual.
Yeah. 100%.
Speaking about hype for Nats, not looking at the false hype or like the artificial hype, but the prize wall. I think the prize wall is very hype and very fairly costed.
Yeah, I'd agree. A lot of the stuff in the prize wall is very interesting and it's very exciting. A lot of the stuff that they're doing, it shows that they're willing to try different things and have accessibility, either things that have maybe been behind paid products previously or might not have been in distribution. So it's a step in the right direction, especially with the costing of it as well.
100%. I think it's good, very cool. I know people are going to be fighting over getting the Godzilla Challenger Uncut cards on there. We can't win the event and get 30 prize wall tickets, Connor. You're going to have to choose one.
I'll do both. Excuse you. and I'll have my tag team belt as well, right? Like when I get the trifecta, right? The three-peat
kind of weekend.
So, just to clarify, Murray has gone on record to say he will allow dual queuing as long as you can play both of your games in a timely fashion. So if you're the top cut Nats and playing teams, you're allowed to, as long as you can play both games in a timely fashion.
What a story that'll be when I do it. I'll have two webcams set up.
You just need to have confidence in the rest of your team, so you can just sit down and say, "Right, I concede, lads. You got this."
No, what you do?
My last team let me down in the end.
What you do is you speak to Sean and you have your top cut pairings match up with your team pairings. And that's it. Corin, unfortunately, you don't get plane tickets for winning Nats this time. You get essentially travel vouchers, and the further into Top Cut you go, the more you get.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from Liam, Rocco, Jonathan in a while. How are you guys doing?
Oh, good.
They're probably still asleep.
I think Jonathan is probably quite tired. What time did you actually get to finish the event yesterday?
I think finished between 2:30 and 3 in the morning.
And you're still planning on going to
You chose to do it, no sympathies.
Yeah, was going to set up to pitch at about 10 or 11 in the morning.
As soon as I saw the Patriot was closed, I immediately messaged Mike going, so you can pod now, right? He's like, no, we test on TTS. Like,
Yeah.
So, starting off with the current reigning champ, how do we feel about the fact that whoever wins this Nationals for the foreseeable future will just be the undisputed EU champion?
I mean, it's me anyway, so it's fine. Like,
Don't strike twice, but yeah.
just you wait.
Ben,
I mean,
You're going to get so many
Ben
game
sent me a
losses.
message the other day asking who I thought was going to win that. So I was like, there's too many good options. Like, just give me a name. Like, fine, me. Because if I won't say me, I'm just,
that ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go. If I go, there's a lot of people who could win it, but I would like to win it.
Yeah, I mean, no, it'll be interesting. I mean, it'll be good seeing Nathan James pester whoever wins to start a team called the Big Three again. With the 3 Nationals winners of Universus. Well, 3 latest Nationals winners. No, I mean, I'm fairly hyped for it. It'll be interesting.
Rocco, how about yourself? How do you feel about this being like the last Nationals?
I mean, this is my first Nationals, so
It's a bit much of a difference to you.
yeah, pretty much.
First and last.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know who's coming second, so.
Whoa, that was uncalled for.
I mean, that was a bit of a
I didn't say anything, I'm just saying.
The amount of people that were messaging, I say the amount of people. Apple messaged me yesterday saying that you're on track to get a second in the Webcam Warriors was just. If Jonathan actually wins an event, it's going to upset people.
I mean, me and Mike aren't playing, so there's a chance he's going to come first.
How you feel about the last Nats, John?
Well, I don't think it'll be the last Nats. I think I heard in a podcast that they might be revisiting Nats in 2026. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it.
We've got Nathan Squire saying I was the bridesmaid. How are you feeling about it, Connor?
Yeah, I'm all right with it because I don't think it'll be the last one. Like, I do think they'll revise the tournament structure and bring it back. It'll be nice when I do win it and I get to hold that title a little bit longer, but
I know someone in Scotland's got to win something for a change.
yeah.
Would it be wise to restructure it after we've just had another restructure? I mean, like, next year
100%.
we're going down an event because we're only getting 3 events, and the chances are one of those is going to be mainland Europe. So since the UK is only getting 2 events, would it be wise then in 2026 to go, here's a 4th version of OP? Would it not be better to get some consistency first?
So the way it looks that they're doing the restructure for next year is mostly just to fix the local level. It looks as if it's more structurally based, fixing locals up the way. It does happen to be we've lost a regional or a national as such. We lost an event, but in the grand scheme of things, like they have to build that local level up. Like if they kept it running the way it was going, like numbers will just keep dwindling.
Yeah. Anybody else got any thoughts about the OP structure and the fact it keeps changing?
I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I obviously, I think, like, I have faith in Josh to be able to make it work, and that he's invested and sort of knows what he's doing. Like, he's done this before with other games. So, and I think it was a reasonable decision to say, right, we'll cut this tier out for now of events, and we will just get regionals right, because I think it's fair to say regionals aren't right at the moment. And look at, we can always then revisit nationals at a later stage. So, like, it may not even be next year, right? They might decide actually we need to make some tweaks, or we need to do other things in the interim, and we're not going to bring nationals back right just yet. But it's certainly one of those things, obviously, that they said is not off the table, right? That they want to consider possibly bringing it back later, but it's not I don't think it's a priority for them. So, yeah, like, it's always nice to be able to say you're national champion, right? And it's always nice to go to nationals as that one event in the year, but they want the regionals to matter. They want people to go to the regionals, and sort of having nationals does take away from that a little bit, in terms of, if someone's only going to one event, well, I will always just put the nationals, right? So I get it. It's a shame, but I also understand why, and it's okay.
Yeah. I think fundamentally they just need to get the OP system right, whatever name they call it, and whatever they call the events, nationals, regionals, universals, worlds, whatever, it doesn't matter. They just need to get the actual system correct and benefit more worldwide players, and make sure they get the regions right. So it's not like things are always going to be skewed based on location and based on player attendance, etc. But at the same time, they need to get that right for everything, because they don't want to overdo one area and people feel the financial ramifications of more events, and then underdo it in another area because there's not enough events. And then in the middle, my things might be right, but then there's no incentives, or not enough incentives for people to travel. So they need to make sure they get things right before, whether they give things labels or not. They just need to get their OP system working for everybody who wants to play.
Yeah.
Speaking of next year, what are we hyped for? What are we looking forward to getting our hands on next year? Are we just looking forward to play, or is any of the new IPs sort of caught your eye? We'll start off with Rocco for this one.
I think I'm probably most excited for the Guilty Gear IP, just because that's the game or TV show that I've played the most of out of the ones that are coming out next year. I'm also looking forward to Critical Role, because I finished season 1 of Vox Machina now, and that was very good.
Yeah, I mean, the Vox Machina series is great. I've just finished campaign 1 of the podcast.
Right.
That was long, and Mighty Nine's getting its own series as well, and I'm about 20 episodes into campaign 2, and yeah, my level of hype for Critical Role just keeps getting higher, especially now that Mark Humes has been introduced as a guest character, which is one of the Odds cast members. That was really cool to just get surprised by. Richard, how about yourself?
I mean, I can't agree with Guilty Gear. Like, the boy got it on his PlayStation the other day and was playing it, and then he pulled up on screen and look, just like one look at it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this looks awful. Clearly not for me, but that's okay. Probably Turtles, like I mentioned the other day, just because it's the one I actually sort of know, being an old bugger. But yeah, so Turtles is probably the one I'm probably most interested by default, I guess. Like, I'm sure Critical Role is cool, but just an IP I don't really know, apart from just having a basic understanding of D&D. Like, but yeah, I think Turtles could be fun with what they do with that.
We all agree that the first, whoever gets, say, Turtles Chrome Sean gets first dibs. No one's gonna
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Sean gets first dibs on any altar or chrome or anything to do with turtles.
Why is he a big Turtles fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly won't be surprised if he doesn't already have the Ultra Guard Turtles deck boxes and deck box, which is like the turtle vehicle. Similar to like the Star Trek one that I did a video on. Jonathan, anything caught your eye next year?
Main one that I was looking forward to was Solo Leveling, just because I enjoy watching the series. And then the other two that I'm quite interested in is Attack on Titan, Apocalypse, and Guilty Gear Strive.
Keep forgetting those coming out.
Yeah.
I mean,
So much Attack on Titan.
Solo Leveling the decks. I'm already well within my plans to get a full alt-art version of the Challenger because you get 6 alt-art cards rather than the 3 that you got for Dark Deku. So it's going to be easy. Just getting hold of the Chibi Boy is probably going to be the hardest. But, did you watch?
You'll be fine. You'll open one.
Did you watch episode 1 yesterday, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was good opening episode.
Amazing episode. I can wait to see where this is going with the Ice Elves. Connor, yourself?
That's exciting stuff.
For the most part, I'm very interested to see what they do with Street Fighter. That'll be interesting, bringing back an actual fighting game. I know Guilty Gear also counts as well, but Street Fighter's better. But for sets, so it's got to be Turtles. That's a proper. That's going to be so good.
Fair enough. Greg?
To be honest, I'm looking forward to all the IPs next year, but I think the main thing I'm looking forward to be completely honest, is the fact that we're losing My Hero Set 2 and 3. Because I think losing those opens the game up a lot more. We're losing a lot of staples. So obviously, depending on what comes out in these new sets, it opens the door for a lot of deck building. And obviously, all IPs that people care about for different reasons: fighting games, nostalgia with the Turtles, Critical Role for the D&D fans, more Attack on Titan. It's a very exciting time.
Definitely, and yeah, losing some of the most powerful My Hero cards is just an absolute pain. I mean, Crimson Rampage is one of the most powerful My Hero sets.
Yeah, there's some characters I'll be sad to see go. Like a lot of the villains, like Stain and Toga.
And
none of them spring to mind, but they're two I'll be sad to see go. Like,
yeah, they're basically the only characters in those sets.
Yeah, exactly.
Izuku Midoriya, right?
Trying to think who's on. No, we said villains. We said villains.
Ectoplasm's going.
We said villains. We said villains.
Kirishima 2, your boy.
Yeah. They took him out. They took him out back and shot him in the head. Unfortunately, so.
Kirishima 2 was sent to play factory quite a while ago.
I mean, he did top cut after the errata, so you know.
Yeah.
Liam, how about yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's probably Guilty Gear. I've not really been that interested. I'm not opposed to it, but not a massive fan of TMNT. Not fussed about Street Fighter. The only thing I've really played on there is Guilty Gear, and Critical Role just to have a full set of the Vox Machina stuff in max rarity.
You say full max rarity, but there's only 8 chromes and there's 16 characters. Well,
no, just the Vox Machina stuff.
Oh, just
if that means there are 8 Vox Machina chromes, then I guess we're selling somebody's kidneys.
I mean, but who will Sam choose? Scanlan or Tyrion Darrington? Because I don't think either's going to get a chrome. I think Not's going to get the chrome because Not.
Scanlan better get a chrome.
I want Scanlan to get the chrome.
And Grog.
I 100% want Scanlan to get the chrome, but chances are Not's getting that chrome.
I mean, Grog also needs it.
Oh, yeah.
I will sell my soul for a Grog chrome.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, have more luck for you, kid.
If Grog doesn't get a Chrome, then Liam would like to rage.
I
Sorry, he's
think
gonna roll a one,
a
we'll be
critical
fine.
roll in joke that I don't get.
It is, yes. Good thing about binging the entirety of campaign 1 in 2 months. I know all the inside jokes now. It's great. We started off with Rocco, so yeah, that's really cool. We got Remy asking, saying, imagine if they'd done Sailor Moon. Yeah, Sailor Moon challenges would be nuts.
That would be a good job.
We did say, we did see that Paul put on the Discord that they have the Astro Boy IP, which, there's been no other confirmation other than a Discord message, so he could just 100% be trolling us. But that'd be cool.
I think it's quite possible Paul may have been under the influence a little. And I think that's partially, him saying he's got access to Astro Boy is probably just because of the relationship with Kodansha more than anything.
I think he just mistyped and he meant Astro Bot, Game of the Year.
No,
Astro Bot.
I think he was just probably a bit drunk and was just burbling on Discord, and that's fine. It's his game; he gets to do what he wants.
Yeah, but if they have got it, I mean, having it like an Astro Boy versus Mega Man Challenger would be nuts. So, nice little segue into that. What IPs would you like brought to the game? What do you think they've missed? Like, well, not really missed, but what do you think they could have brought in? As Richard said, they have the relationship with Kodansha, so Astro Boy's on there, Blue Lock, Fairy Tail, and my personal pick, Shangri-La Frontier, which 100% could be an amazing challenger deck on its own. Let's go backwards this time with Liam. Are there any IPs you would absolutely love to come into the game? Changed since the last time I asked you?
I still think it's Sword Art Online at the top. I still think it works really well.
As a full set or as like a challenger?
I reckon they could do they could do a couple full sets out of it. Like they could do one for SA, one for ALO, one for GGO. Like that's 3 sets in itself that they can do.
And get some Gale Gun challenges.
Yeah. The other, in terms of like IPs I'd like to see return though, I really want a Soul Calibur set. But they need to do another Soul Calibur game for that.
So first we get the Soul Calibur game, then we get the Soul Calibur set.
He's cooking.
Yeah. Greg, how about yourself?
Probably hasn't changed since the last time you asked me. I think Jujutsu Kaisen. I'd love to see that in the game. I think it would work really well. Whether it's a full set or challenges. Challenges would be good for things in the manga, obviously avoiding spoilers for anyone listening and watching. But I think a full set will be great as well. Also, something like Mortal Kombat coming back, I think would just be fantastic. Because I think some of the best stuff I've seen and played in retro-wise, there's been Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur related and things like that. And I just think getting one of those fighting IPs back as a full set would be fantastic.
How would you adapt domain expansions into Universus?
Probably some sort of terrain kind of thing, because obviously the way terrains work in this game is you can only have 1 hour at a time, so something like that with domains, obviously conflicting domains. So something like that, but obviously a bit more refined with it being its own mechanic, I'd imagine.
Some kind of shift asset?
Kind of, yeah, I'd say something like that.
Connor, yourself?
Right, so Greg stole the Mortal Kombat answer, but
More Godzilla.
I would have said like I generally would have said like Mortal Kombat, Soul Cal, those kind of returns. I would actually have liked like a full Tekken set though, which I hope is still on the cards.
If the Clash Techs do well, we saw Critical Role go from Challenger to full set, so who knows?
Yeah. a bit of an anime one, I guess. I'd quite like to see Overlord.
Ooh.
Even as a challenger. Like as a challenger, probably. I don't know if it could really work as a full set, but like I could see a challenger set being
It's
cool.
one when we went to Vegas for the summit. It is one I brought up with UBS, being like the Sacred Kingdom movies coming up. Can we expect anything? Like,
Yeah.
we cannot speculate on stuff like that. I was like, but yeah, the fact that Overlord for me has the perfect synergy because the tier of spell can just reflect the difficulty of it to cast. Like especially now we have the Titan attacks. Like, oh, God tier magic, cool. Slap a 12 on that. Let's go.
Plus, also you've got critical role, so spell as like a keyword that's kind of floating about. Like, yeah, you can expand on it.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
Because there's not many IPs that we currently have that can really use spells. The closest would be if we get, say, a bit further into Yu Hakusho and we get the next kind of arc that could be spells, but I don't want to spoil a 20-year-old anime. Jonathan, how about yourself?
So I think I said that my main one was Bleach that I really wanted them to do. But like another couple that I'd be interested in seeing would be like Dynasty Warriors. I think that'd be really cool.
Yes, Jonathan.
And then one last one that I think is a really weird one that I want them to do is Dandadan.
Yes.
Ooh.
I would love a Dandadan, like Challenger or something like that.
Get a Okaroon shift character.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just once per turn, make this attack speed 100 for Turbo Grip.
Going after your dog.
I don't know quite how well they'd be able to adapt it. That'd be an action that was like, give us your banana. And like, once again, all these references are just going straight over Richard's head.
Yep. I understood Dynasty Warriors though, because I fucking love Dynasty Warriors. I played.
Yeah, that's such a solid. I never even thought of that. It's such a solid idea, though.
It's one of those things, Richard, that usually I tell you to go watch these IPs. Nah, just leave it alone. It's not for you. It's barely for me. It's barely for me. It's a questionable anime. It's a very, very cute and lovely story that has a lot of fan service for no reason.
Right.
The other,
it's great.
Not even that's
Dynasty
true. It's not
Warriors-
even fan service. It's just someone somewhere in a dark corner of the internet will like this. But
the other good thing about Dynasty Warriors is it's mostly free IP, right? Because it's Rant for Three Kingdoms, which is like pretty much open source at this point. I don't think there's any copyright issue.
yeah, I mean they've got Heracles and Wukong. So just adapting, going down like the old magic route of going, here's mythology that is free for us to just adapt in our own way.
I'm pretty sure Romancer Three Kingdoms is just open, like there isn't any copyright there. You just use it. Obviously, my answer is Genshin. It just always is Genshin until they print Genshin in this game. The end. Although I do really would like the idea of Dynasty Warriors. That'd be fucking ace.
Doesn't Genshin have its own actual TCG being printed?
Yeah, in theory, maybe coming soon in like Asia, but I'm not sure whether that will ever make its way over here. But
It's more of a collector's thing. From the looks of it, now.
yeah, they did do Portal Three Kingdoms in Magic donkeys years ago, but again, it's just. I'm pretty sure Romance of Three Kingdoms is as like it's a hundreds of years old book, so it just doesn't have any sort of copyright laws against it. You can just use it, I think.
What we do is we hook up with Jorge, and we make Epic the Odyssey into a set. And I'm now seeing how many people actually listen to Epic the Odyssey, right? Reaction. That was disappointing, but
I do love a bit of epic, but
so
probably a more realistic one would be Ghost in the Shell, just because again they've got a partnership with Kodansha and Kodansha own that, so
it's a good show.
I mean, we have got the relationship with Paramount Plus as well, with TMNT and lower decks, we could see things like Rugrats, SpongeBob.
If they ever bring Rick and Morty into this game, I quit.
I mean, Magic's doing SpongeBob, so.
South Park Challenger decks.
South Park.
Yes.
South Park included. If they ever put Rick and Morty in this game, I'm out, man.
South Park could slap. Cardcaptor Sakura. We've got Remy saying Cardcaptor Sakura would be a really cool one because you could literally just put the cards on the actual stuff, which would be really cool. Would make great for Texas All Arts. But yeah, we've gone over 90 minutes. I'm kind of out of topics. So the last thing I would say is for everyone other than Greg, who really has no stakes in this Nationals, are you nervous?
Nah, I'm just going to go up, have fun, see everyone. Like, honestly, one of the main reasons I'm going up is because I get to hang out and see everyone again.
The only reason I'm going up, what do you mean?
So, yeah, that'd be good, although it's going to be a fucking painful drive in my stupid go-kart. So I think I'm going to end up getting to Leeds about midnight, probably on the Friday. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I just need to decide what deck I'm playing and just YOLO it, and doesn't matter. Like, I have no expectations or pressure other than I get to see everyone and have fun playing cards all day, all weekend. So that's it.
But look this way: if worst comes to worst, you can defend the UK versus teams championship.
Do not try and claim that for yourself, Brett. There's nothing to do like that.
I'm not claiming it for myself. I am not UK versus. I am not UK versus.
That is fair. Yeah.
But if you do win the belt, I will require one of them to put in the background of videos. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I'll be wearing that. I'll be having sex with a significant other wearing the team's belt. That's just how it is.
How about yourself, Rocco? Are you nervous for Nats, or are you just going to let the cards fall?
I'm not particularly nervous. I have enough points to where I should be able to get through anyway. I mean, I'm going to play Byakko either way. So,
I mean, you're at 86 points, and I think points are now cut off. I don't think Nats actually offers any points. You are pretty much safe.
I thought it did, honestly.
If Nats offers points, then even then you're at 86. You're still kind of safe unless it offers a ridiculous amount of points.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. Yeah, I'm just going mainly because I really enjoy the game and the community is fantastic.
Exactly. And we all get to meet Josh. Liam, as returning champion, are you feeling the pressure to get the second year in a row, or are you just happy with your 79 points and invite to Worlds?
I mean, now I want to win. I mean, the travel vouchers, I am broke.
I mean, you might do all right. I'm not playing.
Good point. Yeah. I was nervous as I always am. I think that's just because I'm indecisive. I'll figure out what deck I'm playing on the Friday.
Yeah, I do need to work out when the cut-offs are actually registering for the event and registering deck lists are.
It's usually 11 o'clock on midnight of the actual event.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are going to be using the last chance qualifier to deck test. And earn some world prize tickets, of course.
Oh, do you get prize tickets for it?
Yeah, you get one for it's £15 entry. You get one for entering, and you get one per win for the round. So if you win all 3 rounds, you get 4 prize world tickets on top of the 4 prize world tickets you got for signing up early, and then whatever you get for the main event, you're essentially a third of the way there to the Godzilla if you could just keep winning.
Sweet.
I
guess
we got Mike saying that Liam's going to play whatever he tells you to play.
That's usually how it goes. Mike, build my deck.
But Mike's not playing, so you can't check not all 3s and lose to Mike in top 4.
We don't talk about that. That wasn't a game. That was the last time before Bakugan got taken out back and shot.
That was the first time that Bakugo that got a shot. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first time Bakugo got taken back out and shot.
No point asking Greg. Greg is not nervous for that. This is just if you.
What do you mean? I'm bloody terrified.
Are you just trying to get some extra money to help you get to Worlds?
You could say that.
So, I mean, if you win, that's $2,000 that you get to help you get to Worlds.
Yeah, that would help.
You could fly first class.
It would. No, I just as long as I get there, I'm not bothered. My broadcast needs help.
I'm feeling that essentially I need to top, or I'm just not going. I've had the discussion. It's like, yeah, I need to top, or I'm not getting there.
Yeah, I probably won't mention that if I did top or win, I probably still wouldn't go and spend it on my wedding instead. But there we
So what you're saying is, if you're my winning team, you're just going to concede, so I can go.
No.
Connor, how are you feeling?
Yeah, no nerves. I know I'm winning it, so I mean, like, I just have to show up.
Got that secret Godzilla water tech. And perpetual number 2 in motion, Jonathan. How are you feeling about coming second at Nats?
Yeah, I'm not nervous because I know I'm going to finish second to Connor. So
finishing second still gets you what 750 big ones?
No,
is it? Or is it?
It's $1,000.
It's in dollars though, so it's like conversion rate for us.
NP.
Yeah.
So we'll be about 750. Give or take.
Yeah, it's about
That would
750.
still kind of get you there and cover the majority of the hotel. No, it's not. It's nothing to sniff at.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap up there. Big thanks to everyone that's here. Big thanks for taking a break from your Sunday night practice with Mike. He was threatening to make you pull out. He literally messaged me going, I could make Liam drop from this call if I wanted to just by messaging him.
That's not quite true. I have done no
I
testing.
mean, you say that.
Immediately disconnects.
Pulling out. There's a joke there somewhere, but
Somewhere.
But right, yeah,
I was going to say thanks, obviously, to everyone for coming along, Greg, Liam, and Rocco, and obviously thanks to everyone in chat for chatting along with us, and obviously firing some questions, and obviously thanks to everyone watching this on YouTube. Do all the usual things like comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps the channel. And obviously, if you're watching this YouTube, come check us out on twitch.tv/UK Versus every Sunday, well, most Sundays. And obviously, also go check out at least Connor and the Dobbers over on YouTube. And it's just Sea Dog, which I'm sure my lovely editor will put in the comments.
Not to be confused with Sea Dog VA.
Yeah. And I'm not sure whether any of the other guys here, I know Greg obviously is part of the Dobbers sometimes, and if the other guys have any sort of social media or anything they want to shout out. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and obviously we'll catch you next one.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, hopefully with the response on Play Brand New Podcast, which I need to figure out something to do because Richard has said that my initial idea is too cringe. But
that's because it is.
Big thanks to everyone who stayed around in the chat. I look forward to meeting everyone at Nats again and recording some wonderful content with everyone, and hopefully making it to Worlds and recording even more content. I'm having great fun, and as long as I don't get paired into Greg and Ben on a repeated basis, I should be fine.
Yeah, hopefully I don't dream crush Greg again this.
Right,
It's fine. I've already qualified. You're fine.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Rocco. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jonathan. And would you all like to collectively say goodbye? That's not saying anything, Connor.
Waving.
bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.